Okay, so we're going to make the peanut butter blueberry overnight oats. And it's very similar to the last recipe of overnight oats that we did, the peanut butter cookie. In fact, you could use the same recipe, exactly the same recipe as the base. I'm going to change it up a little bit, but honestly it's pretty similar. You could do it exactly that, but let's go over this. I'm going to start the topping, which is going to be wild blueberries. And I think this one came from H-E-B is what it looks like. But I get the wild blueberries. It does make a difference. Honestly, you can use blueberries, but if you have not tried wild blueberries, go, run, buy some. They're delicious. They do make a huge difference in the flavor, in the recipe. You can use fresh or frozen. I prefer to use frozen because I'm one of those people that every time I buy fresh fruit, that I feel like I'm playing beat the clock before it expires. So frozen is what I prefer. I'm gonna put, now I put 1/4 cup of blueberries. Let me start there. You don't have to do 1/4. If you feel like you want more blueberries, go ahead and add them in. They're really good for you, so they're not a bad thing. They're a great antioxidant. In fact, I'm gonna go ahead and add a few more because I really love blueberries, and I'm actually gonna make more than one overnight oats anyways, because my family loves this flavor. Now I've got my flame a little high, but you actually want to do this and just kind of simmer it on low. And a little bit. So normally you do 1/4 blueberries, or whatever your choice is, a teaspoon of honey, and then because I'm using frozen, I'm going to see if I need any water. Honestly, there's a good chance I won't need water because it's going to release a lot of juice from it being frozen. If you are using fresh blueberries, then you will want to add a little bit of water in there. Okay, and we'll just see if we need any. Now, I know this is a masher. I like to use the masher because I like to squeeze down the juice a little bit more out of the blueberries, but you can just stir it. It's up to you. I just prefer it this way. Simmer it so it'll make you a nice, really good sauce. And the reason I'm doing this first, the reason that I'm doing this first also is because before I put it in the jar on top of the overnight oats, we want it to cool, okay? You want it to cool completely because we're gonna cover this and put in the refrigerator overnight once we layer the oats. Actually, because I'm impatient and because I'm doing this for the camera, I'm gonna turn the heat up just a little bit so it'll cook a little faster. But really, if I'm doing this without a camera, I just relax and let it simmer. In fact, I'm gonna let it simmer here for a little bit. Periodically, I'll mash it. And once it looks good, just eyeball it. It only takes a few minutes anyways, honestly. Once you eyeball it, looks like a nice, good, thick sauce. Maybe not too thick, but just a nice sauce. And you can already see, hopefully you can see this, I know it's dark, but it's really juicy. I don't need to add any water. Honestly, if I added water, it would just make it super watery when I have to pour it into the oats. This is so good. Honestly, like I said, this is one of our favorite oats. This blueberry one, it takes a little bit more work than the last one we did, but minimal. This is the only really extra step that you do. And it's so worth it. Now, if you don't like blueberries, which, trust me, you're gonna love these, but if you don't like blueberries, you can also do this with strawberries. And of course you can do fresh strawberries, but again, I like to do everything frozen just because that means I have it, there's a better chance I have it on hand. And so what I do is with the strawberries, I do the exact same thing. Just put a little either honey, or if you don't have any honey, you can use a little maple syrup. And just let it simmer so that way it creates your topping. And always, always let it cool before you add it into the glass jar. Looks like it's doing really good. Okay. I'm gonna leave it alone, quit poking on it. Quit smushing it because I think it's smushed enough. And it's looking great. Honestly, that looks so pretty. That purple. I love wild blueberries. If you haven't used these in a shake, you're missing out. There's a great shake. The recipe's on my Instagram for a blueberry muffin shake, which also uses the wild berries, the frozen wild berries. And it is the best flavor. I didn't even think I was gonna like it as much, but it just made a huge difference. I saw a video where somebody used them. I had never had wild blueberries, just regular blueberries, and I couldn't believe the difference it made. Okay, it pretty much looks ready, so I'm gonna go ahead and turn my heat off. And I'm gonna let it start cooling. I can give it another quick smush. It's just so good. Okay. Okay, so for our peanut butter blueberry overnight oats, we're gonna do similar recipe than we did before. I did decide to change one of the formula, so we'll talk about it. So first we're gonna start with our 1/2 cup of oats. These are the rolled oats. And then a teaspoon of chia seeds. And we're gonna have 2 scoops, and I could use peanut cookie. I think last time I used 2 scoops of peanut cookie for the peanut butter cookie recipe. For this one, I opted to go with 2 scoops of Dulce de Leche, just because I want it nice and sweet. So this is the Dulce de Leche Formula 1, but if you prefer, you're welcome to use the peanut cookie. And then I'm gonna use 1/2 tablespoon of dry peanut butter, just because I love the peanut butter flavor. And 1/2 tablespoon of the almond butter. And the almond butter. Now, if you have a different brand that's really thick, and I know we discussed this before, then just microwave it for a little while, for about 10-15 seconds. This one is really nice and already gooey, so I don't have to microwave it. Okay, and now you're gonna add your 3/4 cup of milk. And let me go ahead and pour that in. You just want to cover it in there. If you feel like you need more milk, go ahead and add it in there. I'm gonna stir this just so that everything is covered with the milk. That looks good. Now, what you could do, and I think would taste good, the recipe doesn't call for it, but you can always add a little cinnamon. If you feel you need, a dash of the, wrong lid. If you feel like you need a dash of maple syrup, you can also add that in there. I do think I'm gonna add the cinnamon, just because I do love cinnamon, especially with blueberries. Somehow I just think that it tastes wonderful. Okay. I'm gonna stir that in there again. Okay, so we've had a few minutes, allowed a few minutes for the topping to cool. So I'm going to pour some of it here in this jar. We're just going to pour blueberry syrup and blueberries on top. This looks so good. I'm wanting to get every last blueberry in here. Okay, so now that we've put the topping in there, and I'm gonna let that sit on top. I'm not gonna stir it like we did before, just because I think it'll be better so we won't get everything soggy. Put the lid on it. We'll put it in the refrigerator we're gonna put it in overnight. But again, you can do this, I recommend 6 hours. If you're really hungry, you can wait 3 hours and do this. But this is a great meal prep. You can do these, at least 4 of them, possibly even 5 ahead of time. And that way you have them, you just reach in the refrigerator. Now, as far as when you get ready to eat them, if you haven't had overnight oats, I usually just eat mine right out of the refrigerator with a spoon. If you'd like it warm, let's say it's a cold morning or you're just feeling like you want a hot meal, pour it into a bowl, warm it up in the microwave, and you can eat it that way. It's really quick, really simple, and honestly, with the blueberries and a little bit of cinnamon that we added, if you put this in the microwave, it's gonna smell so good in the morning. Just don't leave it in there too long or it will cook it. But this is delicious. And also, if you are interested in baked oats, things like making the cakes with them or cookies or things of that nature, I do have some great ideas and recipes listed on my Instagram, along with some additional recipes for the overnight oats.